History remembers thunder. It remembers the kings crowned, the cities burning, the empires rising in golden glory. But history often forgets the wind, the quiet force that guides the fire, shapes the storm, and decides where the thunder falls. Subutai was that wind. For 40 years, he served as the steel backbone behind Genghis Khan and later Ogedei. He was the hand that turned Mongol ambition into reality, the strategist who reshaped continents without ever seeking a throne, a monument, or a song. And now, in this final episode, we follow the last chapter of his life, the final invasions, the tragedy, the betrayal, the disappearance, and the legacy that outlived empires. This is the closing story of the greatest military mind the world ever produced and the world he left behind. The great winds of the Eurasian steppe swept across the grasslands like an ancient whisper, carrying echoes of battles fought thousands of miles away. Years had passed since Subutai's devastating European campaigns. He had marched through kingdoms, crushed armies, crossed frozen rivers, and executed strategies the world would study for centuries. But now he traveled in silence. He was older. His muscles were worn. His bones ached from decades of riding across continents. But his mind, sharp, calculating, prophetic, remained untouched by time. Subutai returned not as a warlord, not as a conqueror, but as a man who had given everything to an empire that still needed him. As he rode back into Karakoram, the Mongol capital, he saw the flames of the great city burning bright against the night sky. Blacksmiths hammered steel. Caravans brought wealth from Persia, China, and Russia. Children ran through the streets playing their own imaginary battles, some pretending to be him. But Subutai did not seek applause. He came seeking truth. After Ogedei's death, the Mongol Empire plunged into political uncertainty. For the first time, Subutai faced a war he could not fight with bows or strategy, a war of succession. When Möngke Khan ascended the throne, he asked for one man above all others. "Bring me Subutai, for no other mind bends the world like his." Subutai kneeled before Möngke, humbled not by power, but by purpose. Möngke lifted him by the shoulders and said, "Rise, old tiger. The empire still needs your claws." Though nearing 70, Subutai was called once again to shape the future of the Mongol world. He would not lead armies like before. His body would no longer allow it, but he could do something even more powerful. Great empires are not built by swords alone, they are built by ideas, passed from one generation to the next like fire from torch to torch. Subutai began training Möngke's commanders, advanced multi-front war tactics, intelligence and spy networks, psychological warfare river-crossing maneuvers, siege logistics and long-distance campaigns, precise timing and synchronized attacks. Young warriors listened with awe. They had heard stories of the ghost general, the man who conquered over 32 nations, won 65 of 67 battles, marched over 20,000 miles, never sought a throne, a city, or a kingdom. He taught them the one principle that defined his life. The greatest power is not in the sword. It is in seeing the world before it unfolds. Subutai trained Möngke Khan's army in methods no general in Europe or Asia could fathom, and within a few years, Möngke and Kublai Khan would unleash new campaigns from China to the Middle East built upon the foundations Subutai created. His strategies would echo in every Mongol victory for the next century. Though Subutai had grown old, he still possessed a mind sharper than any blade. In 1246, Möngke Khan asked him to oversee one last grand operation, not from horseback, but from the command tent. Subutai agreed on one condition: give me the young ones. Let me shape them in fire." Subutai commanded from behind the scenes while younger generals executed his maneuvers. He designed the strategy that allowed Mongke and Kublai Khan to break through the unbreakable Song defenses in southern China. He helped outline the coordination for Hulagu Khan's invasion of Persia and the Middle East, which destroyed the assassins in Baghdad. He built supply routes across thousands of miles mountains, rivers, deserts routes so efficient they became the backbone of Mongol global warfare. Late at night, Subutai would sit by a small fire outside his gur. His armor hung unused. His bow and quiver rested quietly beside him. His horse grazed nearby, aging like its master. He would stare at the stars and whisper to himself, "I have marched half the world. I have seen rivers freeze and mountains melt. I have seen kings kneel and empires rise. But what is the meaning of all this?" Across his memories came the faces of soldiers he had lost, allies he had buried, lands he had conquered, and then he answered his own question: purpose. That is what remains when glory fades. It wasn't the victories that mattered. It wasn't the fame. It wasn't the praise. It was the impact, the knowledge, the strategy, the discipline, the wisdom he left behind. Subutai lived to his late 70s, an extraordinary age for a man who spent his life riding in war. He died peacefully, far from any battlefield, surrounded by family, students, and young warriors who adored him. He left no palace. He claimed no kingdom. He asked for no monument. All he requested was this: "Bury me where the grass grows tall. Let the winds remember my name." And so they did. His grave was unmarked, hidden somewhere in the vast Mongol steppe, like a ghost blending back into the wind. Subutai's genius outlived him. His tactics became the foundation of modern military academies. His multi-front war strategy influenced Napoleon and Dobiliatpa's generals. His psychological warfare inspired intelligence agencies. His logistical planning set the standard for global military campaigns. But more importantly, he proved that greatness doesn't need a throne. He was the mind behind Genghis Khan's empire, the architect of Mongol global strategy, the silent force behind history's greatest conquests, a man who changed the world without needing the world to praise him. Subutai's life teaches powerful lessons. 1. You don't need to be the face of success to shape it. Some of the greatest men in history worked behind the scenes. 2. Consistency outshines talent. He wasn't born a genius, he became one through discipline. 3. Strategy beats strength. Victory belongs to those who think ahead. 4. Humility multiplies power. Subutai never sought fame, and that made him unstoppable. 5. Your legacy is built by what you teach, not what you take. His impact lived through the generations he trained. Thank you for staying with us on the Unsung Heroes. Stay tuned.